To all my family and friends. This is Bill Bullock, and I'm coming to you live again today from the Biblical Lifestyle Center. The Biblical Lifestyle Center is in Texarkana, USA. It is my joy to be with you and spend some time this morning on this Sabbath, where I am at least, talking to you about the Creator's wonderful storybook we call the Torah. This is the week we study the 35th of the subdivisions of this beautiful book. This beautiful storybook called Torah. The 35th subdivision is called Naso, and it runs from chapter 4 of Numbers through verse 21, chapter 4, 21, through chapter 7, verse 89. This is the longest parsha, longest set of words in the Torah in any of these portions. So the longest portion of the year is today. We won't take that much time with it, but we will discuss it in some detail as we continue with our theme this year for 5785. For 5785, our theme for studying Torah is walking in the light. We want to walk in the light, not in the darkness. We want to be a light in the darkness. We want to carry the light into the darkness, but we want to walk in the light. So walking in the light is our mission, it is our quest, it is our desire, and it is our calling. And so we are in the theme of walking in the light, and the sub-theme of that has been all year and will continue to be discovering the secret wisdom encoded in Torah's timeless stories. The Creator of the universe desires for us to know how to live a well-lived life on planet Earth, how to maximize our allotted days and hours and minutes and seconds here on earth by acting in accordance with His Creator's directives as to how to interact with Him, how to interact with the creation ecosystem, how to interact with each species, and how to interact with mankind, and even our own flesh and our own pseudo-intellect and the nations and the peoples that imagine a vain thing. All the interactions that we need to know about are taught to us. The ways of success, the cheat code, as it were, is provided to us in the secret wisdom that's encoded in Torah's timeless stories. Look at Torah with us as less than something different than law. Something different, at least as a law as the Western world thinks of law. Some rule, command, directive that is enforceable by punishment or social approbation by the society on you, and it has to do with whatever its motivations may be. I understand most people have come to think of the Torah that way, and they've translated Torah as law, and they've interpreted law as what they think of it in their Western modernized mind and world. But the Torah of the Holy One is His secret wisdom, His guidance that He has tried to put in it, His way of teaching mankind how to navigate this world that He's given to us and be successful in it and be productive in it, not just for our own individual purposes, but for the greater purposes of the creation itself and the kingdom. So portion number 35 of this whole series is Naso. Now, this parsha comes at a particular stage in the stories. We have been in a season of sweet betrothal, a season of detoxing from Egypt and at Sinai, a season of bonding with the Creator, of getting a vision for His grand plan. That's what our season has been about all through the latter part of the book of Exodus, all through the heart and the whole version of the book of Leviticus. This was our vision. That vision, that season is shifting. We're in a season of transition now, and soon what's going to happen in our great story is that we will embark. The nation of B'nai Yisrael, the new great nation, the Goy Kadosh of the Creator of the universe, the Am Segilah, the Mamlechet Kohanim, the kingdom of royal ambassadors or priests, as it says in your English Bibles, is going to depart this season of betrothal and transition away from this season of detoxing and bonding to the Creator and begin to embark on an incredibly dangerous march. A march through insanely treacherous terrain, a journey, odyssey, as it were, that will take us into and through the strongholds of the raging nations who hate us. and into and through the territories that are inhabited by giants and vain imagination-obsessed people groups and paranoid delusional leaders who are going to not stop at anything, who will stoop to any level of depravity just to blot us off the face of the earth, to dehumanize us, to demoralize us, and ultimately their goal is to destroy us. This is the journey we're about to embark upon. So this transition season from a season of sweet betrothal at Sinai, a sweet detoxing of all the negativity we picked up in the raging nation bondage season of Egypt, and of bonding with our Creator and catching His vision. That season is transitioning into the incredibly dangerous march and insanely treacherous terrain and very dangerous people we will be encountering on our next stage of the journey. So that's been where we have been. Since we're talking about seasons, probably should talk to you about the overview of what the 7 covenant seasons are. 7 seasons of covenant life. If you don't have a good understanding of what the seasons of covenant life are, then you won't really know where you are at a given moment, or what's happening, or why the things that are happening to you, or the things that are going on around you are going on around you, and why the things that are happening to you are happening to you, if you don't know the season you're in. You know, they're like the agricultural world has winter, spring, summer, and fall. The earth creation does. We have 7 seasons of covenant life, and this is something that you will see developing over the course of all of Holy Writ, all of Scripture, and it begins to be developing in the stories of the patriarchs, and then on into the lives of the Bnei Israel nation. So the first season of covenant life is found in a season of deception by and bondage to the nations of the world, the raging nation mentalities, a season of deception by and bondage to the nations. We saw that at the beginning of the book of Exodus. That's where the prototypical example was Egypt and the bondage there. But it is any time, every covenant son and daughter finds himself at some stage in his life, and particularly, hopefully in his youth, before they can get over it, be deceived by the ideas, concepts, ideologies, philosophies, ethnical, cultural belief systems of the nations, and in bondage to the world's economic socialization systems, political systems. That's how we start. That's the beginning season of covenant life. That's not where it ends. May it be not the case. The second season of the 7 is when we get introduced to and awakened to the higher destiny, when the Holy One breathes and moves and shakes. And it's usually a season of deliverance, of sweet deliverance. This is what happened with the plague narratives that we talk about in the early Exodus, and the visitations of the Holy One with Naso and the calling. Do you sense a calling? This is the second season of covenant life. After the deception and bondage by the world becomes unbearable, then we have a gift of the Holy One, an introduction to, an awakening to our higher destiny. That's the second season. The third season, following the introduction to and awakening to our higher destiny and the introduction to the Holy One's plan, is the season we just been through, the betrothal at Sinai or someplace like it, wherever He chooses to do it with us. Betrothal, and then detoxing from all the negativity and the poison and the tumah, the uncleanness we picked up in Egypt, and the wounds and the offenses and scars, and the oozing, gaping holes and sores in us, that they'll begin to heal at this Sinaitic level betrothal place. And we begin to bond with our Creator and catch His vision. Well, that's the third of the seasons of the 7. And then comes the fourth season, the one that's approaching right now. The fourth season that is about to play upon us is the wilderness testing and transitioning season. For every deployment, you see, for every kingdom advancement plan that the Holy One has, He has a season of marching and staying in line and getting to the new destination, the new deployment. So the season of wilderness testing and transitioning, that's the fourth season. That's the season we're about to enter. And everything we read in Parsha Naso is about getting us ready for this next season, this wilderness testing, transitioning season, getting us ready for our next deployment and facing the trials that we will face along the way. The fifth season, after the season of wilderness testing and transition, the fifth of the 7 seasons is a season of well, let me see, season of mustering the chosen host. This is what happened and pictured for us in the book of Deuteronomy. On the shore, on the banks, the hillside, the plateau of Moab, Moshe mustered the chosen hosts, the ones who would actually go into the land. There were many had been called, but few had been chosen for this. And those that had been chosen and had chosen them for themselves this destiny were mustered and taught the ways for the next deployment. And then the sixth of the 7 seasons was the time of entry into the land and flourishing. Now, I don't mean you don't have to tie this strictly to entering the land of the patriarchs, the land of flowing with milk and honey, into the land of the next deployment. And we enter the season of flourishing and actually working the plan and seeing the fruitfulness of the results. That's the sixth of the 7. Oh, there's another wilderness season coming. And unfortunately, this is what the Holy One knows about human nature and its limitations. The human physical health, body, and its limitations, and the mind and its limitations, and the heart and its limitations. So he says there's a 7th season that takes place after flourishing, and a season of working the plan and seeing it work. The 7th season is a season of complacency, forgetting the Holy One, forgetting what he's done for us, settling in and thinking we are responsible for everything that's good that's been happening, thinking that we know it all, that we are the gift of the Holy One to man, and therefore we are entitled in some way, the complacency. And then comes with the complacency, the 7th season comes mission drift, and we forget why we are here, who we are, where we came from. And that, alas, leads to the cycle repeating itself. We go back to another season of deception by and bondage to the nations as we, in complacency and with mission drift, begin to fraternize with the nations. We begin to be distracted by their deception and caught up in it. Well, those are the 7 seasons of covenant life. Where are you? Which season are you in? Which season are you coming out of? Which season are you approaching? If you're walking with the Holy One in accordance with his instruction manual and the ways in which that we have historically followed, that we are about to enter the season of wilderness testing and transitioning. And with that, each season, you see, has a set of protocols assigned to it and a baseline expectations. The Holy One knows, dear beloved, what exactly is ahead of us, what lies in our near and far future. He knows. He is aware of what challenges we will face. We don't even know that, really. We may have an idea or an inkling, and it may be correct or it may be totally off base. But the Holy One knows exactly what lies ahead of us. And he wants us, because he is our creator and our king and our covenant partner and our mentor, he wants us to be as prepared as possible for what he knows we were going to face. And what we're about to face in this season is the greatest of all tactical marches in human history. 2 to 3 million people gathering, moving en masse across the Middle East to the land of the patriarchs. 2 to 3 million people all at once, not in little bands here, that all marching as a unit. This is the greatest of all tactical marches ever known to the mankind. So Parsha Naso, the 35th Parsha of Torah, contains elements of his covenantal cheat code for this people who's undertaking the greatest of all tactical marches. A cheat code for surviving this most dangerous of all marches through the most dangerous of all wildernesses, the wilderness season of testing and transition and trial. What we will be reading about in this section of Torah and Parsha Naso, therefore, are wilderness marching and camping protocols. That's what this is all about. If you try to tie this into some greater body of laws and apply it to seasons it doesn't apply to, you'll be confused and you'll be or disoriented, and you'll think it doesn't matter. Understanding what seasons you and your children and your children's children will be going through, these 7 seasons that repeat themselves over and over and over again. Understanding that, you know when to apply the cheat code provisions for surviving the dangerous march through the dangerous wilderness. So what we were talking about is wilderness marching and camping protocols. The sotah, the issue of the nazir, the Nazirite vow. Sotah is the jealous or adulterous woman and her husband and their interactions with each other. the issue of sending people outside the camp. These are wilderness marching and camping protocols. They don't apply when you're in the land. They don't apply in those contexts, at least. This is the idea of keeping the community safe, keeping the community moving forward, focused, and not being distracted by scandal or being distracted by other things that might prevent us from becoming all we are. So we'll be reading about wilderness marching and camping protocols. That includes critical task assignments. Everybody has a task. Everybody has a job to do. Everybody has a work to do, something we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be engaging. If we're not engaged, if we're just sitting back trying to eat raisin cakes and have someone feed us wisdom, information, we're not ready for what's about to take place, for this most dangerous of all marches. And we're not engaged. We're not reliable. We're not trustworthy members of the community. So critical task assignments must be proud out. And some of the things we'll be talking about are the critical task assignments of certain groups of Levites. And if that's what you see, and that's all you see in this discussion, well, the problem is these are not just actual instructions given for specific people. They are prototypical metaphoric instructions that we should all pay. We're supposed to be carrying something. Every one of us is supposed to be carrying something that contributes to the greater plan, not just wants our own desires and our own will, our own plans for life, our own likes and dislikes and our own attitudes and our own beliefs. We are carrying something to the world for the community. Critical task assignments are a part of who we are, and we must have those understandings of our critical task assignments, what we're carrying, what we're to lift up, what we're to bear, what we're to release, and what we're to bring with us as we go. Those are the critical task assignments. And we must know in every season, but particularly in seasons of wilderness transition and testing. Not just critical task assignments, so procedures for handling the difficulties that we know will arise. If we understand there's going to be challenges that arise, we need to prepare for those and have procedures and protocols in place to deal with them. And then disciplinary standards. Whenever there is the mission is so critical and the terrain and the people that we're facing are so dangerous, we must have disciplinary standards to make sure that we aren't compromised as a nation. And disciplinary standards that are designed to maximize the greater community's chances of A, survival, and B, mission success. And that's what this is all about. This is not about some personal relationship only that we have with the Creator. This is about us having a collective mission and purpose for the world, for the sake of the world. Well, with that in mind, as we enter this season of transition in the wilderness and danger, let me ask you, how well do you travel? How well do you reorient whenever you're spatially displaced, when you have to go from one place to another? How well do you travel? Can the rest of us in the community of the redeemed, in the great nation, in the covenant community, can the rest of us count on you to stay in ranks, to stay on task, and to stay mission focused no matter what happens around you and no matter what's going on emotionally within you? Can we count on you? Can the Creator count on you, but can we count on you? I want to remind you of whenever the Holy One discusses a foreign army in Joel 2, the army of the Holy One that has come to bring about a major change in the world. This is how he describes it. I'll give you two different sections of that Joel 2 description. He says, a people are coming, great and strong. Are you one of them? Is that you? A people are coming, great and strong, the like of whom has never been, nor will there ever be any other actor like them, even for many successive generations. And the second section is, they run like mighty men. They climb walls like men of war. Everyone marches, listen to me, beloved, everyone marches in formation, and never do they break ranks. How well do you travel? And can the rest of us in the community count on you to stay in ranks, on task, and mission focused, no matter what happens or goes on around you? Well, Parsha Naso, following up on Parsha Bamidbar and preparing us for the early portions of Parsha Behilot next week, is setting this and maintaining the baseline expectations for people of the community who are engaged in this great deployment, who are in the transition phase and willing to step off into the wilderness in the most dangerous of all marches, and to do so with based on expectations, to know what these are the expectations of the host, of the earthly Holy One's host while we're on the march. We can't fall out of ranks. We must not let distractions or scandals or affections or emotions or exhaustion distract us. So let's take lessons from the Shem, from the name, as the English translations of the Bible call it. From lessons from the name of this parsha, Naso, Nun, Sim, and Aleph. Nun, Sim, and Aleph. Nisim, Naso. Naso is the word. And so it's a derivative form of Nasa, which has been picked up by the American space program. NASA, NASA, is used as an abbreviation for National Aeronautics and Space Administration. But the idea comes from the Hebrew Nasa, to lift up, to elevate, to call. That's what the space system does. It lifts up, it elevates, causes us to arise, to aspire, to cause us to envision things that we couldn't normally see with perspective, and to advance based upon what we see. It calls us to call forward. Nasa means to call forward and to bring forth and to bear up something, carry something, and carry it forward and carry it to its location. That's the idea of Naso, burden carrying, picking up a vision, picking up a wisdom, picking up a plan, and going and moving with it. Naso, that's how the name of this parsha goes. With that in mind, let's sing. Take a breath and let's sing our call to worship, our Baraku, the blessing we sing each week before reading from the Torah, an ancient blessing coming from the Hebrew tongue. Sing with me if you know this. Baruch Adonai Hamvorak, Baruch Adonai Hamvorak Leolam Vayed, Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amin, V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen. So be it. Now would you open our eyes, O Holy One, that we may see wondrous things in your Torah. For we are just strangers here on this earth. So please do not hide your instructions, your cheat code from us. And now, with that said, with that prayer being uttered, with that mood being set, gather round, children of the Most High, sons and daughters of the covenant, the B'nai Israel nation, come gather around, because the Master is ready to tell stories again, to incorporate us, to gather us up, to engage us with his stories that tell us how to live life on planet Earth. The closing lines of last week, Parsha B'Midbar, Numbers 4, 19 to 20 or 18 to 20. Aharon uvanav yavu v'samu atam. Aaron and his sons are to come and arrange everything. They're to be our model setters, our snow globe within the snow globe people. Ish al uvato ve'el masa'o. So that every man, each ish, may perform fully all the avodah assigned to him. V'lo yava'u lirot kirvala et hakodesh, and may not go in and stare at the holy things that are covered, ve'amito, and then die, enter the realm of death and die. Opening words of Parsha Naso, our week's Parsha, Numbers 21 through 22a. And then the Holy One spoke to Moshe, declaring, Naso et rosh b'nei Gershon, lift up the heads of the sons of Gershon. Gam hem leved avotam, and with them by the Father's house. Umishpeko katem, and with their family members with them. Lift up their heads. Naso et rosh, the head of B'nai Gershon. Mi ben shloshim shana v'ma'ala, from 30 years of age and upward, ad ben hamashim hashana, all the way up to 50 years, from 30 years all the way to 50 years. Tifkadotam, muster them, inspect them, take accounting from them. Kol haba litzvat sava lavod, who will go forth with the host, the departing crew, to serve along the way. We've been talking about the journey ahead, the great wilderness that awaits us, the greatest march, the most significant march of masses in human history, the great migration of the people of the Holy One as they transition to their next base of operation. These are the ones who will lead us. Now, covenant with the Holy One is what is our grounding, is what gives us our center of gravity. Our covenant with the Holy One is what we live out of. It comes out of encounter, and it comes out of instruction. So the encounter comes with instruction, comes with actual practical application. So encounter, instruction, practical application. Our covenant with the Holy One gives us this grounding, this base of operations, this center of gravity off of which we can be rooted and grounded, and we can actually accomplish the purposes without being distracted by every wind of trouble or trial or political nuance that comes along. This is the idea. The covenant with the Holy One involves, though, some certain things that go with it. The service assignments. Do you know why you're here and what you're supposed to be doing in your family, in your community? Do you know what your role is? There are certain things that are given for all of us. You should know those things. Those are Torah's, makes them very clear as to what we're here to do in general, not just to serve our own wants or wake up every day in a new world and have our emotions run us or control us, but to have service assignments, to serve the people that we know most, serve the Holy One in certain ways, serve our family members and beloved spouses and children's children in other ways, serve our neighbors, serve the poor, serve the widow, the foreigner, serve the broken and the sick and the ill, serve the less needy, serve our kinsmen as well, and serve the creation ecosystem. That's with this issue of service assignments. And with those service assignments comes certain burden assignments. And I use the term burden not to scare you. We're all supposed to carry something of heavenly kingdom weight. The word English Bible's translated as glory, kavod. We're supposed to carry kavod. We're supposed to carry a portion of what we have encountered and received in the heavenly realms into the earth realms. This is our, quote, burden assignment, what weight we carry. So we're supposed to carry weight. Do you know what you're supposed to be carrying? Do you understand the hindrances to you carrying that are the things that would cause you to break down and not be able to carry that beautiful, wonderful weight? It's a gift to the world is what it is. You think of it as a burden perhaps, but it's a gift to the world, and you're supposed to carry that. There's a third thing, along with service assignments and burden or gift to the world assignments, is the protocols of accountability, regular passing under the rod, regular submission to correction as necessary, to discipline as necessary, regular accountability to the Creator of the universe. See, His calling, the Holy One's calling, that is, on our lives, is what makes our lives meaningful. And His calling is to function, not just to have a status of being considered righteous or anything. We're supposed to function, to do something in this world while we're here. And yes, there's a status that deals with afterwards. We'll go to the world to come. But that's not what we're here to mostly be focused upon. We're here to focus on the function while we are in this earth, in this mortal body. Leviticus 4:24, 32b, and 49b, these are going to be some provisions. I'm going to read them kind of together, kind of summarize this issue of service assignment. Zot avodat mishpachot ha-gershni. This is the service, and what is to be borne up, carried up, lifted up, elevated by the sons of Gershon. Assigned to each man by name the items, the things he is to carry. Do you understand? The Holy One's trying to awaken you today. And my conversations with you are not just about learning some historical book. Matter of fact, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to awaken in you the sound, the desire to listen and to hear and to receive from the Holy One. calm, quiet instructions as to what you are to carry and what your mission, what your tasks assigned are. The next verse I was going to read was, and they were mustered, they were gathered together, called together by the hand of Moshe, under the hand of Moshe, each according to his service, his task assignment, his avodah, each according to his capacity to hear, his capacity to receive. These were mustered according to his service and their capacity to bear and receive. And they were mustered by him, Moshe. And this, just as the Holy One directed Moshe. That's this first part of the Parsha of Naso, the issue of service assignments and bearing up and carrying something. So let's go on a little further. Saved B'nai Israel, come speak unto, give directions unto B'nai Israel, give the cheat code to B'nai Israel. This is to the whole camp. Shlach, send out of the camp every Metzorah, all with a Zuv, and all who have taken on Tumah from interactions with a Nefesh. So all of the B'nai Israel, not just what we're talking about with the sons of Gershon, or those who are in the prototypical forerunners of the community, the snow globe within the snow globe. All the snow globe people, you and me, all of us are supposed to send out of the camp while we're in this wilderness journey mode. Send out of the camp every one of three categories. Every Metzorah, it's called leper in the King James Version. Everyone who has this thing of leprosy oozing out of their skin or their body. All with a zuv, all with an unnatural discharge from their flesh. And all who have taken on uncleanness, defilement, corruption from being around a nefesh that is death obsessed. Now, in Matthew chapter 15, the Master taught us a little bit of what this taking on tumah from a nefesh means. Taking on this stench of death from a nefesh, from someone else who is caught up in the realm of death. In Matthew 15, 18 through 20, he said that this is what defiles you. This is what makes you a man unclean. Self-centered, evil thoughts, it says in English, but self-centered, narcissistic thoughts patterns, murders, malice, in other words, adulteries, lust, and fornications, and thefts, and covetousness, in other words, and false witnessing, and lying, and deception, and blasphemies. These are the things that defile a man. No, we're told in Leviticus chapter 6, verses 2 through 5, that send out both male and female, send them outside the camp. We can't count on them. They're not being ostracized forever. They're being taken, say they're not ready for this next phase. So send them outside the camp for now. Send out both male and female. Send them outside the camp, and that they may not defile their camps, in the midst of which I dwell, the Holy One said. These are the words of the Holy One. Send them out in order that they may not defile the camps in the midst of which I dwell. Remember, this camp is moving, getting ready to head, and this is a dangerous, dangerous territory. And for the sake of the greater mission, some people just aren't ready for it yet. And the idea is not to say they're inferior or they're permanently disqualified. It means that right now, if they're oozing pus and defilement, if they've taken on this uncleanness and defilement and corruption caught it from somebody else, then we've got to consider they're not really ready. So this idea of sending outside the camp, and there are certain things we will face along the road. And let's talk about, first of all, these three categories. The first category of things we're to understand and separate ourselves from, and understand they're not ready to be, we can't count on them, is the Metzorah, the leper again. Again, leprosy is not the right word, but that's what the King James Version chose to use, and that's what subsequent translations have picked up and used. Metzorah, what is a Metzorah? One who has zara'at, in the Hebrew is whenever you're in the presence of the Holy One, we begin to see very obvious signs that there is something really deeply wrong with the person in their flesh. And so what usually comes out, it's usually all based upon what we call Lashon Hara, the tongue that speaks evil and selfishness, complaint, accusation, scandal mongering, sarcasm, arrogance, the tongue, the Lashon Hara. This is the source. So if you're around someone who is always complaining, negative, scandal mongering, fear mongering, hate mongering, ethnocentric division mongering, if you're in the midst of all that, do you understand how dangerous that is to the camp? How dangerous that is to the mission, how dangerous it is to what you're designed to carry into the world and give. Your task assignment and in your home and your family, if you let yourself get too caught up with their world, you can't, not to hate them, not to consider them to be totally forever banned or hated, but they cannot be allowed to be that close to you. So you must send them outside the camp. You must ostracize them to some level while still loving them, while still caring for them, maybe even taking care of them in some way, providing food for them, or whatever the case may be, encouraging them and giving them hope. But you cannot let your life be caught up with their mess. Same thing with regard to a zav. A zav or a zuv is one who has this unnaturally perverse discharge, smelly, stinky, contaminated discharge from their fleshly organs, particularly their reproductive organs in many cases. The idea is here, someone who is totally obsessed with the flesh. How can they not be obsessed with their sexuality and reproductive organs? Because they're producing this stuff. And so you see, these are people, if they're that caught up in the issues of sexuality and reproductive organs, and they're that obsessed by this, how can they contribute? How can they be counted on to be part of the host? Same thing with regard to the issues of those who have taken on tuma from a nefesh, those who have entertained and become caught up in self-centered thoughts, malice, murders, ethnocentric division, all these different ways of focusing on something that is not the community plan, not the Creator's ways. Those are people that you don't hate, you don't condemn and judge forever, but you do say, we can't really bind our hearts with this person. We can't depend upon this person, and we can't have that person in the forefront of this battle. So send out both male and female, send them outside the camp, the Holy One says. They may not defile their camps in the midst of which I dwell. All right, so we are to be mustered. We are to be asking the Holy One for our service assignments and our carrying burden assignments, gift to the world assignments, and we are to understand who we can and cannot give our devotion to, our full attention to, and consider part of us. Now, Naso. Naso et Rosh. Lift up the heads was the way this whole parsha started and began. Lift up the head. Where is your head? Is it lifted? This is a repeating theme. We talked about it a little bit last week in Parsha Bamidbar. We'll talk about it many times. The English versions want to call it, take a census, count the numbers. But lifting the head is not about counting numbers. There may be a counting that goes with it as you lift the head, but that is not the purpose. The lifting of the head is the lifting of the head. With the lifting of the head, you get an increased portal of vision. You can see better. You get a better perspective on things when your head's lifted than when you're staring downward or at your own belly button. When your head is lifted, or you're lifted above the troubles and the trials and the challenges and the anger that you face on a day-to-day basis, when you see higher than that, you get your thought matrix is elevated, and our whole thought life begins to be elevated together with it. And because our thought life is elevated, then our spirit is lifted up, and then we're ready to handle situations and challenges without defecting. Not only does lifting our head raise our level of consciousness into new strata, it allows us to access a larger field of vision, and it improves our mood and our attitude and gets our speech and tone and rhythm in tune with the Creator's ways and changes our behavior to be that which the Holy One desires for us. In Parsha Naso, the Holy One is going to train us to respond to every difficult situation we face in the wilderness or in life by lifting our heads, by looking up, by focusing our attention on Him and on His grand plan to make everything in the world beautiful in its time, to understand the 7 seasons of the covenant lifestyle. Focus our attention on Him and His plan and make everything in the world beautiful in its time, in its season, through heaven-earth inversion. Instead of looking around only at things of the earth and thinking how terrible it all is, or how terrible we are, incapable we are of facing it, to see the earth through the eyes of heaven and what the Holy One's plan and possibilities that he sees are. The heaven-earth inversion, the Kedusha infusion, that's what's coming. That's what we get when we lift up, is an infusion of the energy that fuels the heavens. It brings out in us the 5K gifts of Hokmah and Kavod and Kedusha and Chaya. And I'm thinking I'm missing one right now, but we'll go on. The Kedusha infusion brings on the 5K gifts. And then the recalibration of true tone, to true tone, to remember, to go back to who we are and make the sounds of the kingdom instead of the sounds of angry men or broken or wounded men. To recalibrate to true tone, the true tone of heaven, and to bring our mindset and into our actions and into our words the kingdom protocols of redemption and restoration and bringing hope and healing back to the world. When a person lifts his head, and that's what we're being called to do, when a person lifts his head, he starts to think higher thoughts. Now consider the strata of consciousness you could possibly have. You could think about lower thoughts. You could think mundane thoughts. You could think perverse thoughts. Or you can think higher thoughts. You can think the thoughts of the creator of the universe. Now I know it says my thoughts, and the prophet Isaiah, he speaks for the Holy One, saying, my thoughts, my meditations are not yours. Neither are your ways my ways, says the Holy One. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts and meditations higher than yours. But then we get to the writings of Shaul. He says, but we have the mind of Mashiach. We can access the higher thoughts. We can't access them all the time. We can't be as perfect and have all the vision, but we can access higher thoughts than we presently do. Higher thoughts refers to spiritual aspirations beyond the immediate physical or group think advancement that we are usually focused on. Hebraically, higher thoughts means thinking of the Creator and His Torah, His holy things, His biblical prophecies, His promises, His plan, the Messiah through Hebraic lens, all of which emphasizes a covenant relationship, covenant calling-based understanding of life and God, rather than a focus on abstract concepts or a focus on logic or a focus on common sense or a focus on human reasoning. No, it's bigger than all those things, the biblical mindset. And the Holy One's way of higher thoughts contrasts with the great Greco-Roman views of thought, which is pseudo-intellectual, and I think, therefore I am, and it's all human-based, pseudo-intellectual, abstract, and self-focused, rather than relational and mission-oriented. Remember what Shaul said in 1 Corinthians 2, the natural man, the man who's thinking the lower thoughts, does not receive the things of the Spirit, the Ruach, the breath of God, for they are foolishness to him. He's thinking lower thoughts. Nor can he know them, the things of the Spirit, because they are spiritually discerned. But he who is spiritual, who has this spiritual awakening, judges all things, yet he himself is rightly assessed and understood by no one. No one can ascertain who exactly we are. For who has known the mind of the Holy One, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Mashiach. But you, he says later, you are still carnal. For where there are many, where there is strife, where there's envy, where there are divisions among you, are you not carnal and behaving like mere men? This issue of strata of thought. There are some things of dross that must be removed from our thought life to make it come up to higher levels. What's the dross? What's the stuff the toxicity that must come off, the tumor that must come off in the wilderness obstacle course that lies before us? The first one we talked about is Zara'at, the idea of from complaint and accusation and envy and sarcasm and Lashon Hara, we get this issue of oozing flesh. From Zuv, the Zav, the overexposure and exhaustion of flesh eruptions, the flesh focusing on, obsessing over fleshly issues and mortal issues. The third of the drops of dross that must be removed is the tuma, uncleanness from encountering death's sting, and that which leads to death and which fragments the human soul. Hata, that which is the crisis of trust between the Holy One, His word, and us. We don't trust His word, so we do something different. That's hata is usually translated in English as sin, but it's got such a strange connotation now in modern religion that I try not to use that translation. Hata is a crisis of trust, where human beings cease to trust the Holy One's word to be true and just and right, and instead choose another way. That's Numbers 5:5-8. What do you do when there is a crisis of trust? What do you do when there's someone who engages in hata, or you yourself engage in hata? There are protocols set out in Numbers 5:5-8, part of our parsha. And then the fifth of the drops of dross that must be removed before we get off too deep in the wilderness obstacle course is covetousness, especially regarding priests, wanting the stuff of the priests. We're going to see this is a big problem in the wilderness. We're going to see that Korach and others are going to want to have what the priests have and carry what the priests carry. Oh, what a foolish way of looking at things. I want to do that kind of stuff. I want to be like them. I want their calling. No, that kind of thing is not to be allowed. Covetousness is addressed in this regard. It's addressed in chapter 5, verses 9-10. And then there's forced socialization, spousal. It yields stuff. Whenever you get too many people in one place, there's jealousies and insecurities arise. And there's a sense of possible adultery and fornication going on. And emotions begin to fly like crazy. And there's got to be a protocol. There's no good way to fix it. There's a protocol to end it and move on. And that's what the whole idea of the Sota instructions are. And the seventh way, drops of dross must be removed, is the asceticism issue, the issue of I can't handle this by doing the normal things of just shemawing the voice and walking in the ways and following the instructions of the Torah. I got to do something super spiritual. And this is the idea of what introduces if you're going to do that, then do it according to some protocols. That's the whole Nazarite vow. There's no one is told to do a Nazarite vow. No one's instructed to do that. But if you're going to do it, understand it's a temporary thing, and it's just to get you through till you go to the next stage. Well, the final part I'll talk about today of the Parsha of Naso is that he's also going to prepare us for this by giving us words that come directly from his mouth, words that are to be spoken over us. And I'm going to just read it for you and sing it to you, and it was V'adaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. And then the Holy One spoke to Moshe, and he declared, Daber el Aaron ve'el banav lemor. Speak to Aaron and his sons and declare to them, Kol tebarku et bnei Israel. This is the way you are to bless Israel's seed. Amor lachem, declare to and for and concerning them, Yivarech Adonai v'yishmareka. May the Holy One bless you, and may He keep and watch over you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'kuneka. And may the Holy One make His face shine upon you. And may He be gracious to you and cover you with His grace and mercies. Vayisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And may the Holy One lift up His countenance upon you, and may He appoint and establish for you wholeness, wellness, safety, prosperity, and peace. Oh, we're going to have this blessing for our families, have to have this blessing for our communities, have this blessing for ourselves in all the trials of this great wilderness testing period, this great wilderness journey and march that we're about to undertake, the most dangerous of all marches ever known to man. We need this blessing. We need these 6 components of this blessing. I'll leave it to you in your times with your groups to be able to discuss this, go into great detail over it. But for now, I would say to you, Shabbat Shalom, and I'll see you next week.